A few years ago, FXX decided to do a 10-day-long marathon showing every episode of The Simpsons ever, and because I love The Simpsons, I celebrated the occasion by reviewing an obscure Simpsons game called Itchy and Scratchy and Mini Golf Madness. I liked that video, even if the game was meh.
We said meh. M-E-H. Meh.
This year, FXX is doing the marathon again, and I decided I'm going to jump back into the world of shitty Simpsons games, which is most of them, with The Simpsons Skateboarding. Now, while it might not seem like it today, back in the late 90s and early 2000s, skateboarding games were all the rage thanks to Tony Hawk's Pro Skater. The first 3 Tony Hawk games are still amongst the best-selling PS1 games of all time.
And since skateboarding games were popular, the PS2 was popular, and The Simpsons was still popular, Fox figured, why not make a Simpsons skateboarding game? Not a terrible idea in theory, but oh boy.
The first sign that this game is going to be ass is that it was developed by the Code Monkeys, a studio you've never heard of that is responsible for such gaming landmarks as Shrek's Treasure Hunt and Crazy Frog Racer. They're a shovelware developer. That's all there is to it. The game starts with this incredibly corny extreme montage of gameplay footage, complete with generic rock music and ugly filters, trying to emulate all of the other extreme sports games out at the time. Let this be your indicator of how generic this game really is. When you finally get into the game, you'll see there's only 4 characters to pick from at the start, and only 9 total. That's already disappointing considering the literal hundreds of Simpsons characters to work with. Even the terrible Simpsons Wrestling on the PS1 had 12 characters. The first Tony Hawk game had 12 characters as well, so already this game is inferior to the source it's ripping off, which released 3 years prior on older hardware, mind you. But, you know, maybe there's less characters because they wanted to make 9 really good, well-programmed characters, instead of a bunch of samey, poorly implemented characters. You never know.
Oh man, this sucks.
Or not. Yeah, the game plays like shit. I'm sure you're surprised. Even though all the characters have different stats, they all feel almost identical to me, and I'm positive that's because of the way the game controls. Everything feels off. There's a move list, but good luck pulling any of them off. Controls don't go the way you want them to half the time. Trying to perform a nose grab? Well, no matter how you hold up on the analog stick, it only works when it feels like it. And that's only if you don't get stuck on something or launched off of a wall. The collision detection is straight up awful. Running into something will send you off in different directions no matter how hard you run into it. It's hard to get a grip of your bearings, let alone actually manage to fight the horrid controls. Have the developers ever played a Tony Hawk game? Or Disney Extreme Skate Adventure? Or that skateboarding minigame in Metal Gear Solid 2? Or a Rocket Power game? Fucking any other skateboard game ever made? Skateboard Scamper from Mario Party is a better skateboarding game than this. That Kingdom Hearts 2 minigame is better.
It's time to take out the thrash.
You can unlock new boards, but none of them seem to have any effect on anything either. Except this one Nelson has that says Road Rage that just reminds me of a better Simpsons game I could be playing. And that one isn't even that great. Oh well, at least most of the missions can be completing by just grinding or doing handstands or whatever. Not that I actually want to bother completing any of the missions. There are cheat codes to unlock all the characters and stages, so fuck it.
Mr. Burns, I insist that we cheat. Excellent.
Speaking of stages, all the stages are exactly the same, just a mishmash of ramps and rails and familiar Simpsons settings. Never do they ever try to do anything unique or interesting, even when the opportunity presents itself. Burns Mansion has a bunch of security guards, guard dogs, and giant Deku Baba-looking things on the ground, but none of them do anything. You can literally get right next to these giant plants, and they don't even touch you. They're there to trick you into thinking something entertaining might happen. You can skate through Mr. Burns' mansion itself, which is pretty convenient that it's shaped perfectly for me to skate through. I wonder if he purposely designed it that way. Maybe Mr. Burns is really into the extreme sports. And you know what else are great in video games? Hedge mazes you can get lost in! Fun! Oh, there's a satellite dish. Maybe that'll be the fuck? Oh, that's supposed to be water? It looks like any of the other shitty textures in this stage. I just assumed it was concrete. It's barely animated, so forgive me for thinking I could actually skate on it. There's a construction site in the game, which actually sounds like a level that could be in a Tony Hawk game, but it's hard to navigate, and because of the terrible controls and collision detection, I found myself just getting stuck everywhere. One of the missions in the stage is to destroy 5 coffee machines by grinding, and it is called Coffee Grind. This mission exists just to make that terrible pun.
I didn't think it was physically possible, but this both sucks and blows.
Even the mini-golf stage, which sounds like it could be a fun little stage, is just the same set of rails and half-pipes, but dressed up with some windmills and Godzilla statues around the stage. It's pathetic. Every stage also has secret areas you can unlock, similar to the Tony Hawk games, again, but all of them are just more ramps and half-pipes and rails. Why would the Stonecutter headquarters have a skate park in the basement? Think of the best stages in the Tony Hawk games. Stages like the warehouse, the airport, Philadelphia. What made those stages great? They're fun to skate around in, and they make sense. You're grinding on stairs and rails and fountains that were realistically there. Sure, there's an occasional ramp added for good measure, but for the most part, there's some sense of realism. Now, I obviously don't expect that same amount of realism from a Simpsons game, but why the hell are there random rails just spiraling all around Springfield Gorge? Even in stages where they could do something cool to skate on, like Itchy and Scratchy Land, which could have included a roller coaster or that log flume ride that was in the episode. None of that is present. It's just more rails and half-pipes and ramps, and it's so boring.
Boring.
And the last thing a Simpsons game should be is boring. Graphically, the game is blech. Everything is flat and dull. The colors are bright, as you would expect from a game based on a colorful animated series, but nothing really pops. The environments are just so lifeless. Compare it to Hit and Run, or even The Simpsons Road Rage. They don't look that great, but at least they feel alive. They remind me of the show. This game just looks like a bunch of pre-bought game assets forced to look like they belong in the world of The Simpsons. The characters also look like shit. I guess they animate well enough, I guess, but if you look at them, they're horrifying. The Simpsons have never translated that well into 3D, but this is some of the worst they've looked.
Oh, am I really that ugly?
What is going on with Homer's neck? It looks like his head is about to fall right off. Who okayed this?
Oh my god, it's worse than I thought.
Normally, the best part of even the worst Simpsons game is the humorous sound clips provided by the show's cast. While this game does have some of that, they repeat lines way too often.
I didn't do it. I didn't do it. I didn't do it.
So many shitty licensed games do this, and it is just so annoying. I know it's unrealistic to expect there to be hundreds of recorded lines, but maybe a dozen more wouldn't hurt because it is just so annoying. Hearing the same thing over and over again is just so annoying. It is just so annoying. The whole game features commentary from Kent Brockman, and he never shuts up. He'll announce moves even if you don't land them, and then proceed to make fun of you for failing 5 minutes later.
That sucks and blows.
Tonight's top story, pain and humiliation.
This is funny for like 10 seconds, but then he repeats a line and the fun is over. At least you can turn them off in the option menus. The only smart thing the developers did with this game.
Go ahead, try to find a replacement.
A powerful tidal wave in Kuala Lumpur has killed 120 people.
Hey, Chihuahua! Whoa, whoa, whoa!
The game's music is kind of hilarious. It's bad. It's really bad. But it's this super generic rock and ska music trying to emulate the Tony Hawk games, but none of it is officially licensed and none of it is from The Simpsons. They're not even ska remixes of Simpsons music, which would be kind of cool. It's just generic, possibly stock music that sounds vaguely ska.
Touchdown!
Say what you will about shitty Simpsons games like Bart vs. the Space Mutants or Virtual Bart, at least they had some fun with their property. At least it feels like The Simpsons. This game just takes iconic Simpsons characters and locations and sucks them of their identity. The characters aren't funny, the worlds aren't entertaining to explore, anything iconic about any given level is just background eye candy, and I use that term very loosely because it's not even fun to look at. This is a pathetic excuse of a licensed game. One that doesn't even give the remotest of shits about the property it's using. The Simpsons is notorious for having some of the worst licensed games around, but, and I say this with no hyperbole, this might be the very worst one. Well, maybe second worst behind the wrestling game, but this one is close.
Oh, Simpson, can't you go 5 seconds without humiliating yourself?
How long was that?
Oh, I'm sorry. Guys, I'm sorry. I tried real hard to play this game as long as I could to get as much footage as possible for this video, but it drained me. It wasn't even hilariously bad. It was just depressingly bad, because I love The Simpsons, and I don't think the idea of a Simpsons skateboarding game is necessarily a bad one, but this just does nothing at all with the concept. It's so half-assed, lifeless, and boring. It's just... Ugh. one of the worst games I've ever played. Seriously, one of the very worst games I have ever played in my entire life. No joke. I've sat through some shit, but this is one of the worst. I'd rather play literally any of the Tony Hawk games over this. Even Tony Hawk Ride, I would suffer through that before I play this game again. Anyway, go watch the Simpsons 600 Marathon on FXX and enjoy the Simpsons the way they were meant to be enjoyed. And everybody in the US, I hope you had a great Thanksgiving. And if you're not in the US, if you're anywhere else, well, I hope you had a good November. Because I know the world is shitty right now. Everywhere. It's shitty. But, you know, you deserve to spend time with the people you love. And to do something that makes you happy. And, you know, spend some time with me. Because I love you. I love you all. And you're safe here. This is a safe place. Safe from the world out there. And safe from shitty games, because you don't have to fucking play them, because I sat through that piece of shit. What a goddamn awful...
I made a joke in this video about how a Rocket Power game is probably better than this game, and I know for a fact somebody out there is going to tell me that they have played a Rocket Power game, and it is utter crap, and I believe that. I just don't want to hear it. I don't need to hear it. Okay, it was a joke. It was a joke. Rocket Power games probably suck just as much, if not worse, than this one. Alright? I get it. Anyway, thanks for watching my video. It was fun, I think. Maybe. Did you have fun? I didn't have fun playing it. The game was fucking garbage. Anyway, if you liked the video, you should go ahead and like it. You know, give it a little thumbs up. Maybe leave a comment. I try to comment on all my videos, to all my replies, because I'm not making sense. I try to reply to all the comments because I don't get a lot of them, and I want you to feel like I care, because I do. You can also subscribe if you're new here. I'm trying to get back on track, you know, make some regular video content. You can probably hear my daughter coughing in the background. Aubrey Wyatt. You can check out another video I made on a game called Monkey Magic, which is an obscure little arcade game made by Nintendo. Thanks for watching.